Welcome back to our daily General Hospital discussion space. Today is a beautiful day to dive deeply into the latest dramatic turns in Port Charles. We always appreciate the wonderful conversations we share here, and there is certainly a lot to unpack from recent episodes. Let us jump right into the heart of the action and explore the terrifying twists currently unfolding on our screens. The moment Dante Falconeri and Lulu Spencer pulled up to the desolate, shadow-drenched perimeter of that remote cabin on the outskirts of Port Charles, a profound sense of dread settled over the screen. As a viewer who has followed these characters through so many trials, I must admit I felt a deep, chilling anxiety settling into my own living room. We have watched Dante and Lulu fight tirelessly for their family over the years, but the sheer desperation radiating from them in this storyline feels entirely unprecedented. They were led to this isolated location by the breadcrumbs deliberately left by Cassius, the man masquerading as Nathan under the agonizing belief that they were finally going to bring their beloved son Rocco back home. The pacing of this sequence was masterfully handled by the directors, allowing the audience to feel the heavy, suffocating weight of parental terror in every cautious step they took toward that front door. When they finally breached the interior of the cabin, the visual impact was nothing short of devastating. Instead of finding a frightened but safe Rocco waiting for his parents, Lulu was met with a scene that would shatter any mother's heart. The sight of Rocco's beloved toys scattered carelessly across the dusty floorboards was a visceral gut punch. It is one thing to know your child is missing, but to see the tangible, innocent remnants of his daily life weaponized in such a cruel manner is a psychological torment that is incredibly difficult to watch. My heart completely broke for Lulu in that moment. You could see the raw panic wash over her face, the desperate hope instantly dissolving into a terrifying realization that they had walked directly into a nightmare. The writers beautifully captured the vulnerability of a mother's love, turning something as simple as a misplaced toy into an instrument of profound emotional devastation. However, the horror of the scattered toys was only the beginning of this meticulously crafted nightmare. Dante, relying on his deeply ingrained instincts as a seasoned detective, quickly realized that the eerie silence of the cabin was not empty at all. It was watching them. The discovery of the highly sophisticated WSB surveillance equipment hidden within the walls of the cabin shifted the narrative from a heartbreaking family drama into a high-stakes espionage thriller. In my opinion, this was a brilliant narrative pivot. It immediately elevated the threat level, reminding us that Dante and Lulu are not dealing with an ordinary kidnapper looking for a ransom. They are entangled in the massive, suffocating web of the WSB, an organization that operates with chilling efficiency and zero moral boundaries. Dante's swift transition from a panicked father to a calculating police officer was a testament to his character's resilience, and it was incredibly satisfying to watch him piece the puzzle together. The realization that the cabin was nothing more than an elaborate decoy is a testament to just how dangerous Cassius has become. By masquerading as Nathan, Cassius has exploited the deepest emotional vulnerabilities of everyone in Port Charles, and this trap was his most sinister move yet. I firmly believe that the writers are doing an exceptional job of establishing Cassius as a truly formidable villain. He did not simply want to hide Rocco. He wanted to manipulate Dante and Lulu into removing themselves from the city board entirely. Luring them out to the remote outskirts was a calculated strategy to isolate them, to play on their desperate need to save their son, and to blind them to the larger, far more dangerous game being played in the shadows. It is deeply unsettling to watch a villain who operates with such calm, cruel precision, treating human lives like mere pieces on a chessboard. The true turning point of the episode, and perhaps the most terrifying revelation of the week, occurred when Dante returned to their vehicle. The discovery of the tracking device secretly planted on their car by Cassius was a moment that made my blood run cold. Suddenly, the entire architecture of the trap became horrifyingly clear. Dante and Lulu were not just lured away to be kept busy, they were being actively used. Cassius had turned desperate parents into unwitting bloodhounds. It is a deeply disturbing thought to realize that every mile Dante and Lulu drove in their frantic search for Rocco was actually providing the WSB with the exact coordinates they needed. The psychological cruelty of making parents the very instruments that could lead to their child's capture is a stroke of dark genius by the writing team, and it adds an unbearable layer of guilt and tension to Dante's current predicament. This tracking device connects directly to the looming, monstrous threat of Ross Cullum. We already know that Cullum is tearing through Port Charles with unchecked ruthlessness, having violently abducted Liesl Obrecht and orchestrated the psychological torture of Jocelyn Jacks. Cullum's ultimate prize, however, remains Britt Westbourne and the Cold Fusion Project. By tracking Dante and Lulu, Cullum is essentially allowing the frantic parents to do the exhausting legwork of the hunt. I found myself gripping the arms of my chair as Dante verbalized this realization. The thought of Cullum, a man capable of profound violence, following closely behind Dante and Lulu, waiting for them to uncover Britt's actual hideout, raises the stakes to an almost unbearable level. It is a race against time where the heroes are unknowingly paving the road for the villain. While Dante and Lulu are trapped in this high-speed game of cat and mouse, we must also turn our thoughts to the profound crisis unfolding for Britt Westbourne. Britt's journey over the past few years has been one of incredible growth, and her fierce maternal protection of Rocco while on the run has been one of the most touching aspects of this storyline. However, the writers have introduced a ticking time bomb that makes her situation infinitely more tragic. Britt is suffering from Huntington's disease, a devastating medical reality that she cannot simply outrun or outsmart. The physical and emotional toll of being hunted by the WSB, combined with the extreme stress of protecting a child, is pushing her fragile health to the absolute brink. I have always admired how General Hospital handles complex medical storylines, and integrating Britt's Huntington's diagnosis into this high-octane thriller grounds the spy drama in a heartbreaking human reality. The looming threat of Britt suffering a sudden stroke or a complete physical collapse adds a layer of explosive urgency to this entire narrative. This is not just a matter of staying hidden from bad men with guns, it is a battle against her own failing body. The terrifying scenario that is currently keeping me awake at night is the thought of Britt collapsing while in hiding. If her body gives out due to the immense strain of Huntington's disease, young Rocco would be left entirely alone to fend for them both against the ruthless agents of the WSB. It is a nightmare scenario that makes Dante and Lulu's desperate mission all the more critical. They are not just trying to beat Cullum to the hideout, they are racing against the rapid deterioration of Britt's health. The intersection of a medical crisis with an espionage manhunt is a brilliant, if utterly nerve-wracking, storytelling choice that keeps the audience deeply invested. Looking closely at Lulu's reaction to this overwhelming cascade of horrors, I am struck by the incredible resilience of her character. She is terrified, heartbroken, and pushed to the absolute edge of her sanity, yet she refuses to break. Lulu carries the legendary Spencer legacy within her, a family history defined by standing tall in the face of impossible odds. When Dante explained the reality of the tracker and the trap, Lulu did not surrender to despair. Instead, you could see the fierce protective fire ignite in her eyes. I have always appreciated when the show honors its legacy families, and seeing Lulu channel the strength of her parents to fight for her own child is deeply moving. She and Dante are a formidable team, and even in the darkest of moments, their shared history and unbreakable bond provide a glimmer of hope that they can somehow outmaneuver the darkness closing in around them. Dante, on the other hand, is carrying an immense burden of guilt that is palpable through the screen. As a police officer, his entire identity is built on protecting people and seeing through deception. The fact that he allowed Cassius to get close enough to plant a tracker on his vehicle is a failure that is clearly tearing him apart inside. I feel a great deal of sympathy for Dante in this moment. He is a good man who was blinded by his desperate love for his son, a vulnerability that any parent would understand. Now he must set aside his guilt and utilize every single ounce of his tactical training to lose the WSB tail. The upcoming sequence of Dante attempting to outdrive, outsmart, and completely cut off Cullum's surveillance promises to be some of the most thrilling television we have seen all year. He is fighting not just for Rocco, but for his own redemption. This entire storyline brilliantly highlights the suffocating grip that the WSB currently holds over Port Charles. It is not an isolated incident. It is part of a massive, interconnected web of danger. While Dante and Lulu are fighting for their lives on the back roads, Jocelyn is enduring a severe psychological breakdown in captivity, and Liesel is being forced into scientific servitude on Spoon Island. I am incredibly impressed by how the writers have woven these separate threads into a cohesive, sweeping saga of survival. Every character is being tested to their absolute limits, and the consequences of their actions are rippling across the entire canvas of the show. It creates a viewing experience where every single scene feels vital and no character is truly safe from the fallout of this massive conflict. As we look forward to the upcoming episodes, the anticipation is genuinely electric. The questions hanging in the air are heavy with consequence. Will Dante's evasive driving skills be enough to shake the sophisticated tracking of the WSB? Will they be able to locate Britt and Rocco before Britt's Huntington's disease causes a catastrophic medical emergency? And what will happen if Cullum intercepts them on the road? I firmly believe that the writers are building toward a massive, explosive confrontation that will forever alter the landscape of Port Charles. The emotional stakes have never been higher, and the physical danger is terrifyingly real. I, for one, will be glued to my screen, hoping against hope that our beloved characters can find a way to navigate this treacherous storm. Thank you for joining me in this deep dive, and I eagerly look forward to sharing more thoughts with you as this incredible story continues to unfold.